All right, guys, welcome to our inaugural episodes here of All That Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about some crazy things going on in the NFL between Phillip Rivers, ACL tears, some history with those, and honestly, some craziness going on with the NFL scripts right now. Anyways, my name is Austin. I am one of your three hosts. Let's introduce the other guys here.
I'm Zach. I'm also one of the other co-hosts, diehard Falcons fan and hopeless loser.
Over the other host. And I believe animals can talk, but they choose not to so they can avoid paying taxes.
So again, like this is our show today. This is what we're gonna do. Obviously, I am messing every part of this beginning part up, but it's fine. This is the first one. Again, we're gonna be going over the NFL, replaying the script, ACL tears, and just a bunch of other craziness going on in the NFL. If you like the show, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, follow us, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to keep up to date with us. We're going to be doing this every week for a while, and Toy's already laughing at me. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over the number one topic today. Zach, what'd you think about Phillip Rivers' return to the NFL?
He's entertained on Sunday. It brought me back to my childhood, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, watching that game, it just reminds me of how good the Colts defense actually is. Because they shut down the Seattle offense. They bent the entire time. Seattle didn't score a single touchdown the entire game. That offense definitely needs some work. Only putting up 120 yards. I know he's been gone for a while, and I'm going to give him that break. But that offense was ran through the run game. That Colts O line is really a scary threat for anybody looking up or looking to face them here in the next coming weeks.
I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I did watch the replay of it, and I think you guys hit everything on the nail. Um, really good outing by the Colts defense for, stifling the Seahawks offense. I mean, JSN was able to get 120 yards, but I mean, that was a well-earned 120 yards. Old Philly Rib was out there slinging. Old sidearm Philly was doing his thing. The Seattle, I got to give it to the front four or to that front seven of Seattle's defense. They did a really good job against Jonathan Taylor. They made sure that he was not going to be the one that beat them. So applause off and kudos to them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Colts do from here on out, to be honest. Like, even with that, that was the beginning of Philip Rivers' second coming in the NFL. And he has 3 more weeks to try and get them into the playoffs. And once he's into the playoffs, Philip Rivers just always turns into a different guy. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that guy becomes, especially at 44 years old and a grandfather.
And that's even if they get the chance. It's a tight division race right now with the Texans and the Jaguars. I don't think he's going to get that option, but boy, if he's able to sneak in there, the 12-year-old me is going to be very excited during playoff time.
Entertainment, if it does, I'm hoping it happens as well.
Speaking of playoff time, I know we didn't put this in the script, but I do think this is a good thing to touch on. Both NFC and AFC have 6 teams fighting for that number one spot, including
That's
wild card teams and
that's
in the
insane.
hunt. We're after this week. There's 2 more weeks of NFL, and we still do not have a definitive number one seed in the NFC or the AFC. This literally is up for grabs for anybody this year. Like, this is probably the most competitive playoff race we've seen in, I'd say, 10 years minimum.
It's really insane when you think about it. Like, I am very shocked. Um, I I can't remember the last time it was this competitive. It seems like the NFL is slowly becoming into the Western Conference of the NBA, where you really don't know who's gonna take it. I mean, besides last year, you knew OKC was obviously the number one team, and not to divulge between the two, but like you really don't know who's going to take it in either conference. Yeah, you might have teams who clinch playoff berth, but it's nowhere near close to over.
With that, let's go on to this next topic here. Toy, why don't you lead this one off, talking about a little NFL history repeating itself?
So in 2008, Tom Brady Thomas Edward Brady, as Skip Bayless would say, went down. He got hit going against, I believe it actually was the Kansas City Chiefs, and he went down and tore his ACL. And Matt Castle came in that year, and they still went 10-6 and missed the playoffs. And it seems like history is slowly repeating itself. Just 14 weeks later, Patrick Mahomes, as you know, tore his ACL and LCL. It's really unfortunate, but when you look at the numbers, and I just had to do a really quick Google search, these guys are really neck and neck, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, and it really has you thinking sometimes, that Madden 20 cover where you had the two of them on there. It's like, is it passing of the torch, or are we going to have the same thing happening again? In his seventh season, he went to the Super Bowl, lost to the New York Giants. BS. Anyways, and last year, Patrick Mahomes did the same thing, went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Eagles. So it's really strange how their careers are kind of parallel, but I'm gonna pass it off to Zach and see what he has to think.
I mean, it is very interesting knowing that, these are two guys that are, elite quarterbacks. And as a Falcons fan, that pains me to say about Brady. But yes, he was very elite. That year you were talking about against the Chiefs, it was week one. He got the ACL. This one's a little bit different. It's later in the year. But it all is going to depend on this next year if he's truly going to bounce back, because ACL and LCL, that's going to be a hill to climb recovery wise, especially this late in the year just to get back for week one of the next year's season. It's going to be very interesting if the Chiefs can go on that revenge tour that I know that they're going to probably be talking about all off season in the media. I'm intrigued to see what happens here. But yeah, it is very interesting that they are this similar down the road, season 8, and it's pretty much the same story except little different ebbs and flows here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to give props to Mahomes, but if anybody's going to come back from this injury and be ready by week one, it'll probably be him. Like he just has that championship mentality of like he knows what to do. He takes all of his recovery seriously. The man's been injured with some type of leg injury the past 4 seasons. So in my opinion, like it was bound to happen at some point. It didn't necessarily need to be an ACL, but it was bound to happen of him going out with injury. And he's one player that you just know he's going to come back stronger. He's going to make every single game he's in that next season exciting in some way. Probably with a new tight end because I don't think Kelsey's coming back at all. I'm pretty sure he's done after this season. And speaking of ACL tears, I know we're kind of blowing through some of these topics here, but like, have you guys seen the stats on ACL tears this season?
Insane.
It's 30 ACL tears up to this week. We are looking at an average of 2 ACL tears a week in the NFL. I know there was a lot of talk about MetLife Stadium being like a haunted ground for ACL tears because everybody gets injured in that stadium. I think this is a bit much bigger issue, and it kind of comes back to the athletes themselves. Not that they're the problem, but I think we are at a point in time where science has kind of surpassed what the human body can actually do. And these athletes are stronger, they're faster, they do everything better than the athletes of 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And I don't think the human body can keep up with all of the training that these players do, considering a lot of these players probably started playing when they were 6 years old, all the way to now. Like the amount of training and science that goes into that training to make them the best athlete that they can possibly be, I think is actually backfiring. And we're just seeing it in front of our eyes.
It's also very telling that, growing up, I think we can all, speak to this. We were always explaining, hey, you play football, but, expect to pay the price physically. It's a physical sport. But 30 ACL tears, those are mostly coming from non-contact injuries. I think the NFL needs to really investigate on these fields They need to switch to grass. There needs to be a clear, plain, this is the rule. Every stadium needs to have either this grass or this grass. There's no policy. I feel like there's multiple different turfs and grass that are used across the NFL. I don't think that's responsible for the league. I feel like they need to do the right thing and put certain codes in of, hey, this is about the health and safety of our league. So let's go ahead and fix the problem. Over in Europe, they use a lot of soccer fields, use a lot of grass, natural grass. I don't see this many ACL injuries. Only in the NFL where there's turf.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what both of you guys said. I've played football since I was 12 all the way until I was 21 years old. So, um, you know, w- between high school and playing a little bit in college, like I didn't know that many people who tore their ACL, but I'm gonna transition just a little bit. While I do agree that the grass could be the issue, I think these trainers need to also be held accountable. Um, Not to go dive on a super nerdy science side, but a hyperextension is the reason how ACLs tear, and that can be prevented if you have a good firing stable hamstring and you have a good firing stable glutes. So these trainers are getting paid a crazy amount of money, and I'm happy for them, but I think they need to be investigated as well. If you are going to investigate the NFL and try and make sure that you get something that these athletes can withstand with how much force they're distributing, we need to have these trainers held accountable as well. Just my opinion, but who knows? Because
I,
this is a
I
ridiculous number.
I completely agree. I mean, if I remember right from last year, and we can keep talking about the subject while I look it up, the the trainers, as much as they do need to be blamed, I also do agree with Zach in the sense that grass fields are just safer. I think scientifically it's been proven. They've shown that grass fields actually take off a lot of the impact from the athletes because dirt and grass is just a softer material. It's easier to run on, it's easier for athletes, it will lessen the wear and tear. And these NFL owners make so much money that they have no excuse not to put it in their stadiums, except for the fact that they don't want to spend the money. Which they're billionaires, of course they don't want to spend the money. But at this point, like, they need to do something with that grass to actually protect these athletes. They're investing so much money in these athletes, and on the same time, they're investing so much money in the surgeries for these athletes that probably could be offset by just putting in real grass.
Yeah, so I just did a quick Google search. It is saying that roughly it is a almost split of the NFL. 15 stadiums are using natural grass, and then 17 teams are playing on turf. So it's a complete split of the NFL right now.
Yeah, they need to figure this out. The NFL generates so much revenue. The least that you guys can do is try to get a little bit safer for these guys are so explosive. They're so fast, they're so strong. You gotta give them something to even out the playing field, or else this is gonna continue to happen. And a lot of these guys are gonna end up having a really strange career. So
Hey, you talk about the NFL is a nonprofit. The NFL makes so much money. Each team receives $279.2 million to pay their players per team. And that's only 49% of the NFL's total income. They have the money to do this themselves without even needing the owners to do it. Like there needs to be actual studies, not just say, "Hey, sometimes it happens." I mean, currently the NFL is looking at around averaging about 50 to 60 per season with it's
Mm.
it's a number that that's 50 to 60 players tearing their ACL. There's 32 teams. Each team has roughly one star on every position, at least one person that you can look at as their best player in that position. You're looking at a lot of stars going down, a lot of money going away. The amount of money that players or teams are spending on these players' rehab and surgeries and recovery really just needs to be looked at and see if it's completely offset by just putting grass and paying someone to take care of the grass.
Speaking of how much money the NFL puts into these players and injury, it can be for a later show, but I have some inside information on how that actually goes. So stay tuned for that.
And we'll be looking at that. We'll definitely need to dive into that one here in the future. For now, I do want to. We kind of talked about the NFL script with ACL tears and Brady and Mahomes. Zach brought this up right before we started recording, and how the NFL script was in full force during the Thursday night game. And I'd like to hear more of what he has to say about that.
Well, so I
Zach, you're
don't
talking.
necessarily know 100% if there's a script. You know, we're going to be talking about something probably here in the next 20 minutes that we love that is scripted. I don't believe football is one of them, but it definitely feeds into that narrative. Like I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching NFL football since I was 5 years old. I'm 30, about to turn 31 in a week. I don't know the rules right now for a 2-point conversion and a fumble, because typically the new rules for the last, like, I want to say a handful of years was, if you're on offense, if you fumble the ball, wherever you recover it, you have to go back to where you fumbled it. There's can't be any forward progress. It's the holy roller rule. I don't know what that is for 2-point. I think there's a offensive rule in the rule book that states that if an offensive player recovers a fumble, it has to go to the spot where the fumble did occur. If there's forward momentum, then I feel like that should be as well as the 2-point. But it's neither here or there. Seattle got away with one. They ended up coming back. I'm not taking anything away from the team. It's definitely a big, huge win. Not one play tells a story of a game, but it definitely is a big part of it.
Oh, that one play definitely played a factor in that game.
Yes.
The thing is, like, even during the game, the NFL rules analyst, he tried to explain it, and I still don't think it explained it very well. Because it was a backwards pass, it counts as a lateral, which is just a fumble, and it hit the Rams player's helmet. That counts as a fumble against the defense for some reason, in which the ball can be moved forward, which doesn't make sense to me because that's never been a factor and it's never been a rule. I'm a diehard Seahawks fan, and I was even looking at this like, fuck it, we got a touchdown. And it was still like, I don't think that it just goes back to show like certain plays and certain penalties are subjective to the timing of when they happened.
Yes.
Not necessarily for the NFL rulebook, the way it's expressly written. It's a play that, like, even seeing it multiple times, I still don't understand how the 2-point conversion was scored. I still don't understand why they gave us the points. But we got the points, we got the win overall. And I'm not going to use that as an excuse to say, cool, we're the better team, because, like, obviously these two teams were extremely evenly matched. It still was a sketchy call.
I have to agree with Zach. I agree with both of you guys. But as a guy who's been watching football since I was roughly about 6, 7 years old, it's strange. 23 years ago, the Raiders' whole identity changed in that playoff game in Foxborough against the Patriots, when the tuck rule that has never been called once in, like, 60, 70 years was called. And that started, in my opinion, the Patriots dynasty. And now we have something very similar. What was that? 2011, you guys played the Packers on Monday Night Football, and they called that a touchdown. And that was a very strange call as well. I've never seen a play that's been ruled dead turn live again, because they ruled it dead, but then immediately looked back at it. Like, that's just very strange. And in my opinion, a backwards lateral is not a backwards pass, and they kept saying a backwards lateral. So it's really up in the air, but give credit to the Hawks. Like, they were the better team that day, that night, and the Rams are here to stay. Once they finally get Devontae back, they're going to be a force to mess with. And I'm not taking anything away from Seattle, but you guys got to figure something out with Darnold. He needs to either, be in that film room looking a little bit more or not anticipating so much so the defense can figure out what he's doing because till that last 5 minutes, he looked terrible. I'm sorry.
No, I don't disagree with you in that sense. Like he looked great when he was able to actually get the ball running. When our run team was working basically, and he was able to play off the play action. That's when Darnold looks great. But when it's just strictly a pass play, you can see it when he's in the pocket of him freaking out of like he doesn't know where to throw it, he doesn't know what he's looking for downfield. Like our biggest plays are always off of play action because he has a split second longer to actually trick the defense into doing something else and gives like JSN or Cup enough time to get down the field. I don't even think he's necessarily the biggest issue. I think our biggest issue is that right side of our offensive line. And then right underneath that, having JSN being our only receiver down the field, it seems. Like when we get actually into the playoffs, regardless of where Seattle ends up in the playoffs, I'm hoping number 1 seed because we're not going to the Super Bowl if we don't get number 1 seed. Or we don't have a chance at least. I'll go into that in just a second, but we need to figure out how to spread the offense around. We have an excellent receiver in Cooper Kupp. Rashid Shaheed is an amazing downfield threat that we have not used once this season since we've gotten him. Like the ball needs to be spread around more. Clint Kubiak's offense works very well when we actually give ourselves time to let it work. But sadly, like that Thursday night game shows that if we're going down and we're starting to lose in the scoreboard, we go to desperation plays, and somehow they end up working.
Real quick shout out to you guys' defensive coordinator in the fourth quarter before it went into overtime. That I think it was like a 3rd and 4 or like a 3rd and 6. Shout out to your defensive coordinator for bracketing the hell out of Puka. I don't. That was a fantastic call. Parkinson dropped 2 major balls that would have got them further down, and he had nobody else to throw to. But shout out to your defensive coordinator for bracketing Puka.
Just shout out to that defense in the fourth quarter in general, man. Like they figured out how to shut down that Rams offense so well, and at least through the fourth quarter. Not so much overtime. Like overtime, Puka just got an easy touchdown, but like they figured out exactly what to do. And I remember texting you guys 2 minutes left on the clock. Immediately, I'm just like, I don't trust any defense versus Stafford on a 2-minute drill. The guy is just too damn good, and somehow Seattle got the stop. I'm sure we could go on and on about that game. I could at least. Do you guys got any final takes on that before we move on?
Shout out to Zach Charbonnet for just playing through the echo and picking up that ball in the end zone. You could tell that the Hawks are well coached. Just playing through the whistle, in football, I remember my coaches always telling me, play through the incomplete passes. Just pick up the ball regardless, because you don't know what the refs are ever going to call. And I feel like that's exactly what he did right there. Just played through the echo of the whistle, picked up the ball in the end zone, and just luck happened.
Speaking of luck happening, there is none going on at the Browns organization right now. That is a trash organization. Nothing goes well for them. Nothing goes well so much for them that they actually gave Shador Sanders the wrong wristband with the wrong play calls for 2 straight drives on their last game. So I'm only bringing this up because I know how passionate you are right now about Shador, and I need to hear your thoughts on the Browns. I know they say that they didn't, but seemingly intentionally screwing over this man.
not going to go on a whole diatribe about this. Every media outlet has been talking about this guy, and you know, I the only thing I want for him is to get a fair shot. And it seems like he's kind of, but not really getting it. But it's neither here nor there. Life's not fair. In all my years of playing football, I've never heard of the quarterback getting the wrong play sheet or the wrong wristband that has the plays. In the NFL, of course, it's a lot more advanced. It depends on how your offensive coordinator is. You have that microphone inside your helmet, so um, that can help out a little bit. But Browns are abysmal. There's a reason why they are the laughing stock of the league. The last good quarterback that they had was Baker Mayfield, and he left them. So I hope he gets a fair shot. Either with another organization, because I just don't think the Browns is it. That offensive line is abysmal. His receivers, and I mean this in the nicest way, because I hate talking about professional athletes because they're they're fantastic. To be at that level, you have to be really good. But good God Almighty, man, if it hit you in the chest, if it was a spear, it would have killed you. Like, and Jerry Judy's not doing him any favors, but he also needs to do some favors for himself by not trying to force everything. This isn't college anymore. Like, you got to just know when it's over. But it comes with time and it comes with reps. What do you think, Zach?
it just makes me depressed kind of seeing how this season is played out. First he doesn't get a fair shake like through the beginning of training camp. Throughout the season, when there's clear opportunities of, hey, maybe you should give this kid a shot, you aren't pulling the trigger on him. I don't know how to fix the Browns. I thought that they fixed themselves when they had Baker Mayfield, when they drafted him first overall, and then they seemingly made it impossible for him to succeed and kind of ran him out of town. If I was Shador, and this is some advice I'd be giving Shador, I know hear this. This is our very first episode that we're going to put out, but I would call Baker. I'd give him a call and be like, hey, you went through this. Can you give me some kind of guidance and some advice of, what some organizations I can maybe throw at my agent and figure out a way to get out of here? Because if nobody around you is going to give you the tools to succeed and not even really act in press conferences that they even really care if you develop or succeed, you need to get out of there.
Yeah, man. I mean, this man truly has not gotten a fair shake. You mentioned Baker Mayfield, and it always makes me laugh because like Baker Mayfield won comeback player of the year because he left the Browns. Like that was his comeback. That was his comeback player of the year moment. And it really looks like Shador in his second season because I got a really good feeling they're not going to bring him back next season. Just the way that organization is, they see somebody who's attempting to be successful, they'll get rid of him so quick. The it's the Browns. I even hate putting them in the same caliber at this team, but I think of them a lot like the Cowboys. And once the current ownership leaves in some way, shape, or form, then they can become successful because obviously this current GM, coaching, ownership group, everything does not want success. They wanted an excuse to own an NFL team. And you need somebody in there that actually wants an NFL team to succeed.
It's
Poor
really
Shador,
sad.
man.
I agree. Like, we can talk ad nauseum about
Like,
this, but
if you think about it, like even draft day, he hasn't had a fair shake since the beginning. His NFL career started with a prank call.
oh damn, I forgot
Now
about
he's
that.
having to deal with this just
Forgot
because
about
what, he's Dion's son.
I
Like,
forgot all about that prank call. This last year has lasted 28 years, and like that prank call took like it was funny in the moment for me when I saw it happen because I was like, "Oh, that's funny," and somebody prank called him, and then you hear the more stories about it of it was a Falcon's daughter
Yeah,
son or
no, it was
something
his
getting a
son,
hold.
son of the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, like he got all this information, so he stole the information to even get that to happen. It's like, oh man, this is actually way worse than it's funny until you hear more information, in my opinion.
The
Um,
funny thing that I find about that whole situation is the rumor is the reason why the son did it is because he was assuming that the Saints were going to take him.
I'm sorry. Like I don't know much about like prior to obviously like the mid 2000s Falcons, but I can't imagine. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. I mean, Dion kind of. I mean, what Brett Favre got drafted there and ended up getting traded to the Packers. I think that next
Yep.
season. And speaking about something that you mentioned earlier, our friend Bill Goldberg played there as well. But
Yeah.
you know, like when you think of the Atlanta Falcons, especially probably in the '90s, you thought of Dion until he got traded. So it's
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
disrespectful that you would prank call, even if he was going to the Saints. Like, you guys should really be thanking him for having some relevancy in the '90s. Like, obviously, you created your own new path with Michael Vick and in the early 2000s and late 2010s with Matt Ryan and all those guys. But when most people think of the Atlanta Falcons that are 30, 40, 50 years old, you think of Deion Sanders. So it's just disrespectful, in my opinion.
It just
I
is,
think
it's
I think it's 28 to
disrespectful
3.
on all levels. All right. So Austin wants to talk about something depressing. I think we need to go to our next topic. If we're going to talk about, you know, something that makes people cry.
Yeah, man. Honestly, we got enough time for this. Eli Manning getting into the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, I didn't know this is where we were going. All right, let's
I
go
didn't
with
know this is where
Eli
we're gonna go.
Manning.
I didn't know this is where we're going either, but I just looked at the time and I'm like, oh, we got more than enough time to talk about this.
Oh
The
my
NFL
God.
Hall of Fame talk in general. Like, here's the thing. I can think of several players that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame before Eli Manning. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in there, but I think there's several people that need to be in there before he even can get a vote. I think here it is. Toy actually put in some stuff for us to help us out with this. Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you look at the stats: 64,088 yards for Ben Roethlisberger, 418 touchdowns, 211 interceptions. You got Drew Brees with 80,358 yards, 571 touchdowns, 243 interceptions. And then you look at Eli Manning's 57,23 yards, 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions. This man has less yardage, less touchdowns, and more interceptions than both of those players. Granted, he does have 2 Super Bowl rings against Tom Brady, of all people. But overall, he
So
is also a significantly worse quarterback than everybody else. His last game in the NFL evened out his record in the NFL. He has the same number of wins and losses. Meanwhile, these other 2 quarterbacks have positive records to their names. They also have Super Bowl wins to their names. Those 2 alone should be going in well before Eli Manning goes in. And this is my biggest hot take. Eli Manning should not go into the NFL Hall of Fame until after Tom Brady goes in the NFL Hall of Fame, because I think Tom Brady is a more important figure to the NFL than Eli Manning is.
I agreed with everything you said until that last point, Austin, for
you don't
personal reasons.
for
Um,
personal reasons too. I
yeah.
don't want to talk about Eli. So, anyways, I'll let you go ahead. But
Well, so the question is, do I think Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. He's not. I don't think he should be in the first year. I don't necessarily think he should be in the second year, but I do think that he does need to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just going to throw out a random name that just popped up in my head. He's another New York quarterback, Joe Namath. He has 1 Super Bowl. He's in the Hall of Fame, and he has, in my opinion, worse numbers than Eli Manning. Like his passing touchdowns was only 173. His passer rating, the sources are slighted because of the age that he was in, but his passer rating was only 72.7. Like, he didn't have a lot of great years with the Jets either, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So do I think Eli is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day? I do, for the fact that, in my opinion, for the Hall of Fame, the number one question I think of is, can I tell the story of the NFL without this said player? He had 2 huge Super Bowl runs against the greatest of all time, and he stayed relevant for multiple years and was with one franchise for a very, very long time. I feel like that's Hall of Fame worthy. Is that within the first, like, 2 or 3 years of eligibility? I'm not quite sure.
Go about this. Respect your take on Joe Namath. Like you said, when you think about the entire NFL, it's hard to not think about Hollywood Joe. And Joe was like the coolest motherfucker ever. So I respect that. Oh man. Eli Manning. Boy, I tell you, if Richard Seymour would have just threw him down, we wouldn't have this conversation, but that's a topic for another day. Do I think he's Hall of Fame worthy? You know, speaking, we talked about Dion earlier, and Dion made a very controversial take, probably about 7, 8 years ago, where he said, you know, there's the Hall of Fame and there's the Hall of Very Good. And there's a lot of people that I think should be in the Hall of Very Good. And I think Eli Manning is there. I think he's in the Hall of Very Good. But when you think of the Hall of Fame, you think of sweetness. You think of Shannon Sharp. You think of you know, Joe Montana. You think of Tom Brady. You think of Kurt Warner. You think of just a lot of these guys that were really fucking good at the time and kind of changed the game. But that is a little bit of bias on my end. Do I think that he will be a first ballot? Yeah, I do. Honestly, I really think he will because he beat the GOAT. Well, what most people think is the GOAT of our age range. He beat him twice. And, you know, Ben Roethlisberger has a couple things off the field that's probably going to hold him back. And Drew Brees, even though he wasn't fully part of it, that Spygate situation, I think, might hold him out just because that whole organization was looked down upon for a while. So I think he'll be in. They'll be the first family, uh, you know, arch senior Peyton and him will be the very first family, full family of Hall of Famers in the NFL. So I think it will happen. Do I think that he should be? No, but it's hard to debate. You know, like beating the Patriots, especially that 2017. Shit, that earned him a Hall of Fame spot right there. So
They'll agree. It earned him a Hall of Fame spot, just not anytime soon. I think the more players that go into the NFL Hall of Fame, it becomes slightly less prestigious. It's still a prestigious honor to be a part of it. It's still slightly less prestigious with every new name because once you get into 350, 360, you're the 428th inductee in the NFL Hall of Fame. I just feel like at some point it becomes kind of not unnecessary, but I can't even think of the word for it. Like it's not as important. And that's why I think Eli Manning needs to be put in when it's less important. Because in the grand scheme of things, I do think he's a less important NFL Hall of Fame nominee than somebody like Drew Brees. I mean, I think Phillip Rivers would have gone in this year if it wasn't for him starting last week. I'm trying. There's just a lot of players that I think deserve a Hall of Fame spot over Eli Manning.
Zach, I'm curious your second take.
Curious about what?
Curious about if you have any other statement or anything else to add to that after what we talked about.
I mean, I do understand where everybody's coming from, not quite yet. I do agree he's probably, in my opinion, a third ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe you can argue a second. Um, I do think it's a little wild that Austin thinks that Phillip Rivers needs to be in the Hall of Fame before Eli when Phillip Rivers hasn't won a Super Bowl. But yeah, I do think he's only second, third ballot Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion. Same thing with Rivers. I don't think Rivers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think maybe third, second. If they pushed it to a fourth, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm curious. Sorry to cut you off if you were going to go, Austin. I'm very curious, and I think this can be a topic for another day. Do we think, because, switch to the NBA just for 1 second, Charles Barkley never won a ring, but he's in the Hall of Fame. But Charles Barkley was that fucking good of a player. Are we having a problem with the Hall of Fame now? And we can go on a much deeper topic, a much deeper dive on this at another time. But do you think that is slowly getting diminished because we feel like, or the voters, or the people in the Hall of Fame feel like they have to get the guys in that have rings because that elevates you over players who might not have had a ring, but were still that really good? So
I think that's. I know you said we can go into it later. I'm just going to go ahead and say now, yes, we value a ring over actual stats and actual playing. Like, I know we keep harping on Eli Manning, but he was never the best quarterback at any point in his career. He happened to be the best for a few game stretch going into the Super Bowl and when he actually won it. But he was never the best. Like, even in those games, he wasn't the best quarterback in that game. His team just came out with the win in the end. I think Phillip Rivers was a hands down better quarterback than Eli Manning. And I do think there's a lot of players that are not in the Hall of Fame right now that never won a ring that should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame, given the fact that they are significantly better than a player that happens to win a Super Bowl. I mean, if we're going to, especially in the sense of like, if we're going to keep valuing players that like, because they won a Super Bowl, they should automatically be in contention for Hall of Fame, we're going to have to give one to Nick Foles. He beat the Patriots. So like with that logic, like we got to like really think, is it the awards we're giving them an MVP for, or is it the actual stats and what they did on the field?
And I agree with that. When I'm meaning crazy that you think he's going to do it is exactly the point that you just said, Austin. It's the narrative of rings are the most important when it comes to a Hall of Fame, even though a Super Bowl is a team accomplishment, not a player's. So that there definitely is that stigma when it comes to the Hall of Fame, especially the NFL.
I know Toy mentioned Tom Brady, but like there's a reason why you consider him the GOAT. It's because he's won the MVP himself a couple of times. He won 7 Super Bowls. He never once was part of a team that was eliminated from the playoffs. Like the man, every time he stepped foot on the field, there was a threat that he was going to score, and he very rarely was in a position where he wasn't going to score. So I just think that separates him from people like Eli Manning, who was an NFL quarterback, was great at his position, but he was never the greatest at any point in his career. I've delayed it long enough. I think it's time that we talk about something that is actually sad, and I think affected all of us in some way, shape, or form, and that was John Cena's last match. Um, I know this affected all of us in a little bit of a different way. I mean, we were all wrestling fans, and the one constant that was always on our screen was Cena. He was always there. He never the hustle, loyalty, respect thing was real to him, and it became real to us. I wanted to get you guys' take on it. What do you think? How do you think that went down? What's your thoughts overall, I guess, between the match and between him finally retiring?
I want to give props to WWE and their production and how they kind of set everything up. I don't think I was alone in this. Like, he was taking that last entrance and stuff like that, and I started getting emotional and teary eyed. And this is coming from a guy where, you know, I was at WrestleMania 19 when he came out and was rapping in the pre-show, and I ended up becoming a Cena fan then. And then 3 years later, 4 years later, maybe growing up, I started not liking Cena at all just because of those little inside the ring type of psychology stuff that we could probably talk about and have a field day and do a whole podcast on that. But he really represented a long time for me as a fan as something that I respected about wrestling, but something that I didn't want to really focus on. I was more interested in like the European style and everything like that. But watching that match and just going, man, this I really did watch this guy growing up and 25 years of just constantly seeing him on my screen, I did get really emotional. Towards the end, especially that ending sequence with the tap, smile on his face. You could even ask my wife when you talk to her next and see her, over the holidays and stuff. Like she was getting emotional, and she's not even a wrestling fan. So it was a very emotional match, very emotional night, very well done.
Joy.
Hey, this one hit. This one hit kind of hard. If I'm gonna be honest, I remember. Never forget 2003 turning on UPN. Shout out to those who remember UPN. And seeing him, and I think he was in a match with like Tajiri or somebody random or like Jamie Noble. I was like, there's something about this guy. He's really good. And then I think that next year I got his action figure. And yeah, he's been a part of my life since, you know, since I was very young. And I agree with Zach. Once I got older, once I got to like high school, he did become a little corny. But the one thing you can never take away is, man, that man did his best to entertain us. And, Brady retiring definitely took a toll on me. Not the first time because he was an asshole. The second time. uh, and then whenever LeBron retires, that's going to be another one. I feel like our childhood's going to be officially gone, and we're going to feel like the old heads in our family, talking nostalgia, talking about Isaiah Thomas or talking about Jordan or talking about John Elway and Joe Montana and those guys. Like, that was a huge part of our adolescence until adulthood. And like I said, Zach kind of alluded to it, we'll probably end up doing a whole show on it, but, you know, kudos to him. Kudos. It probably didn't go the way it. I'm almost sure it didn't go the way that he wanted it to, but kudos to him for being a professional. And hey, shout out to the production team as well and for documenting that. So very special, very special.
Something I really wanted to touch on and just get like your thoughts on that final moment before the tap out. For me personally, like in the moment, of course, I think like everybody, I was emotionally thinking about it and I was upset with the moment. And it was about 10 or 15 minutes later that I realized like actually it is quite poetic that he wasn't tapping out on the match. It was letting go of his career. And that's the way I perceived it. But it took me like 10, 15 minutes to actually like understand that. But what do you guys think about that match at the end?
I mean, it shows the simplistic of wrestling. I've listened to a couple podcasts this week, and they've touched on it quite a bit. But it's a sleeper hold for like 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. And they just kind of take that crowd on that ride. And shout out to Busted Open. But Bubba Ray nailed it right on the head. It's a new hope when, Obi-Wan Kenobi just lays that sword down and lets Darth Vader, kill him. He's dying for Luke, and it kind of felt like that in a way. It was like Cena was tapping out for the wrestling business so it can get launched further, and he makes a new star in the process with Gunther.
I didn't think a retirement match. I mean, granted, he's had like 20 at this point, but in 2008 when Ric Flair retired, I thought that was like chef's kiss, beautiful retirement match. This probably takes the cake for me. Like Zach alluded to, like he's going out on the shield. He's he wants this, and it takes a real strong individual to put their ego aside and actually want this. And kudos to him. Kudos to him.
Yeah, man, I think we're all on the same consensus with all of this. I know that's a match that like I'll probably never be able to watch again. I think we all have that kind of match where like you want that memory there at all times. Like you don't want to dilute it by rewatching it. Like you have a movie or TV show or a song or something like that. For me, that just kind of hits that area of I can't watch that again because I know my feelings from that match, from the moment, from after the match, the after match videos that they posted or that they did and everything. Like it, I have that memory of it, and I'm gonna hold on to that memory. I don't need to tarnish it by revisiting it.
Beautifully said.
Agreed.
To a less somber thing, yeah, we're just gonna cut right to this. We're gonna go over our picks really quick for this next upcoming week, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Get out of you guys' sights, get out of you guys' ears, whatever you however you listen or watch us.
They love us.
Yeah,
Don't do
this is
that. They love us.
a lot of first episode issues we're gonna fix over time. The longer you guys stick with us, you'll be able to see the progress. Anyways, let's get into this. We got the Eagles Commanders. Who you guys got?
Eagles. I think it's gonna be easy. Commanders, I don't think are going to be progressing anytime soon at the moment. I think the rest of the year it's just kind of getting through the season and get ready for next year.
Be
I'm
that
going.
guy.
I'm going
Oh, go
Eagles
ahead.
as well. So I'm going
Okay.
Eagles as well. I just can't see Commanders pulling out the win with Jaden Daniels sitting out.
I hate being that guy. I'm going Commanders only because of
Wow.
only one reason, right? They beat the Giants, and granted, the last time they faced the Eagles in Philly, the Eagles beat the hell out of the Giants. But I just have a weird reason. I have a weird feeling. I really think the Commanders can actually pull this one off.
I just wanted to sit in that for a moment and just say like your reasoning was because the Commanders beat the Giants.
Hey, man. Hey, hey.
I can think of at least 12 other teams that did that too.
Look, man, I'm just saying, Jalen Carter's out. That secondary is already not that great. They're pretty beat up back there. If they got a shot,
All right, I'm not gonna. I got you written down for the Commanders. Packers versus Bears. I know this is a game that I have been a toss up with, but something tells me the Bears are coming out with a win in this one.
Yeah, did Love practice this week? I know he was having a thumb issue.
I want to say yes, he was limited practice on Tuesday, but then was full participation for Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Bears at home. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm not a gambler, but if I was a gambler, I'd probably take the under. It's usually a real close, low scoring game between these two, especially winter in Chicago. So I'm going to go for the Bears here, just slightly edging out the Packers.
What you got, Toy?
it's a rough one. I think I got the Packers. I think I got the Packers, but I think it's going to be a really close game.
All right, Packers in a close game. Let's see, Chargers, Cowboys. Chargers. I don't trust the Cowboys at all. The fact that the Cowboys are still in the NFC playoff hunt right now is a fucking joke to me. Um, anyways, you guys next.
I gotta go Chargers. I know Cowboys at home. I know they got something to fight for, but I think the Chargers are going to be real energized, especially with the news that the Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs. I think they're going to go in, wreck shop, and get better this season, improving their playoff standings.
Yeah. Uh, this pains me to say. It really pains me to say because I can't stand the Cowgirls, but I think Dallas is going to win. Herbert's hand is still fucked. His offensive line is screwed the hell up. I think that
All right, Toy 3 for 3 on being against us on this one. Let's go with Vikings Giants. Personally, I'm going with the Giants. I know I was just clowning on them, but I just don't trust that Vikings right now. I really don't, and I think the Giants can actually figure this out.
I think I'm going to probably go with the Vikings here. I know JJ has not been playing well, but I feel like he's going to have one of these games where he's going to actually play decent, and then they're going to have this small little buzz of, okay, maybe he is the quarterback of the future for 1 or 2 games. I think the Giants are a weak enough team, especially with how they've been playing as of late. So I'll probably go Vikings here for the. I don't even know if it'd be considered an upset. It might be, but
I got the Vikings as well. It's hard to bet against Brian Flores. He, in my opinion, deserves another fair shot at a head coaching job. But I can't see the Vikings losing this defensively to the Giants. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Dart. So I'm going with the Vikings.
All right, Bengals Dolphins. Who do you guys got?
Oh my God.
um,
Yeah, I'm gonna be
it
honest.
might.
I think I'm going Bengals strictly because Burrow's playing. I don't have any other
Yeah,
reasoning.
I'll probably go Bengals as well. This is one of these games that I have a feeling is just going to be a strange game to watch.
I would normally troll in this moment, but I have no faith in Quinn Ewers, so Bengals.
Let's go Bucks Panthers.
Oh,
I'm gonna let Toy start this one. I'm still trying to decide on these guys.
yeah, I guess Zach. I don't want you to think with your heart, man. So I'll go first. I'm going Panthers.
All right.
I'm gonna pick a team here, even though I'm going to root for a tie. I know it's virtually impossible, but if I get 2 ties out of these teams and Atlanta runs the table, I think we technically could still make the playoffs, even though everyone says we are eliminated because it's so far-fetched. I think the Panthers are on a roll. I love Mayfield, but he's been struggling the last few weeks. It just seems like the Panthers have that Cinderella dust that comes around every few years for a playoff run. So I'm going to go with the Panthers here if I got to pick a team.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna say Bucks. Um, strictly just because I hope that Mayfield can get it together. No, screw it. I'm going Panthers as well. Mayfield has been playing bad, and I think he's still dealing with a shoulder injury and just not telling anybody. And I think that's actually going to affect the game a lot. Panthers are going to take this and then end up taking that 4 seed in the NFC. Jets Saints.
Who the hell came up with this schedule? Good God.
That's an ugly game. Probably
I'm just
go New
saying,
Orleans here. I don't
Saints.
believe in the Jets.
Thanks, dude. Fuck, that's a bad game.
All right, just to be devil's advocate, I'm going to say Jets. I know I'm going to lose this one, but I'm saying Jets.
You're just trying to get that record lead on me.
Bills versus Browns. I think we're all going Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bills.
there was no shot. Let's go Chiefs Titans. That's actually an interesting game since Mahomes is out.
Is
A
it still
closer
Chad
game.
Henne as the backup?
Nah,
No, I
baby, it's
think
Wazoo legend Gardner Minshew. What you mean?
Gardner
Ooh,
Minshew.
Minshew.
I'm gonna be honest. Up until his last play, he actually wasn't looking too bad in that
I'll
last
go.
game. I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs as well. I really believe in the Tennessee's front office. I don't think they really constructed a great team. I think the Chiefs are gonna pull out a close one.
When I seen Cam Ward stiff arm that dude to the ground and his receiver dropped the ball, I lost all faith in anything Titans. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Chiefs.
You know, I've relived that play this entire week in my head, and to see a quarterback dribble a defender and then his wide receiver just shit the bed. I was so pissed off at that play for so long.
Go on a large tangent. Like, look, I understand Shador is Dion's son, but we need to talk about the travesty that's going on with the Tennessee organization. They fucking
That
stink.
that just got added to next week's tally because I completely agree. The rumors are they're signing another first round draft pick next year for
Oh
quarterback.
my God, that's not the problem.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the
Stay
next
in
week's
school,
topic.
kids. Stay in school. Get that
Yes,
Uh,
NIL money.
goddamn
Jag
right.
Jags Broncos. Who do you guys got?
This is a tough one. I like both of these teams. They both seem like they're catching their stride. I think I like Denver's defense a little bit better than the offense for the Jaguars, so I'll probably go Denver.
This is a tough one. I mean, I'm hoping Trevor Lawrence can stay on the good streak that he's been going on, but that Denver defense is just stifling. So I gotta go the Broncos.
Sorry, what was yours again, Zach? It was Broncos.
Broncos.
Okay, I'm going Jaguars only because NFL loves a little bit of drama, and Broncos losing this puts them at 12-3, Patriots potentially winning their game puts them at 12-3, which makes for a lot of drama going for that number 1 AFC seed into these last 2 weeks. Falcons Cardinals. Who cares? Raiders Texans. I'm kidding.
I mean, that's how I feel about it already, Austin. You said it for me.
I mean, I only say who cares. Like, both teams are eliminated. One of them, like, even with a bad record, is having a pretty good season in some ways, and the other one is the Cardinals. So it's, for me, it's Falcons are winning this.
Yeah, I'm going to say Falcons just to hopefully not give the Rams a higher draft pick this next year.
Not to be an asshole, but the tickets for that game are $10.
You realize it would be cheaper for us to fly to Arizona, go to that game, and fly home than it would be to get a Seahawk ticket right now.
Yeah, that's quite sad.
Do you guys want me to call out for work tomorrow and we can all fly to Arizona?
Nah, I'm flying to Washington tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're coming home for the holidays.
No, you know what's funny about that is it'd still be cheaper for me to fly to Arizona, watch that game, and then fly to Washington than it would be to buy a Seahawks ticket right now. It was Toy. Who do you got?
I gotta go with Jacoby Biscuits. I think Arizona can pull it out. No disrespect, Zach.
None taken.
Raiders, Texans. Personally, Texans. They're my AFC team now, and I spent enough time defending Geno Smith. That man deserves to lose every game.
He's not even playing. Kenny Pickett is.
Good. That's all I got to say about it. Good. Steelers versus Lions. This may be my game of the week, by the way. What are you thinking, Zach?
This one's a tough one. Toy, what are you thinking? I'm looking on my phone doing some research on this one.
Don't put me on the hot seat, damn it.
Yeah, I'll start so you guys can think then. Personally, I'm leaning Steelers. I think at this point, I don't think the Lions make it in the playoffs because they would have to have the Packers or the Bears lose out. Or actually, no, they would just need the Packers to lose out the rest of these games. The Lions would need to win out. And I don't see that happening because the Packers are too good of a team right now. I think the Lions are just going to be that unlucky team that gets 10 wins and doesn't make the playoffs. But they're not getting that 9th win against the Steelers. Steelers are fighting for a hell of a lot more right now, trying to actually stay in that 4th seed. So I trust Rodgers to make a win. Let Tomlin continue his positive record streak in the NFL. So yeah, it's Steelers.
For the simple fact that they're playing in Detroit, screw it, I'll go Steelers. You kind of talked me into it, Austin. I was trying to think and talk myself into going for the Lions. They're at home. They have been playing decent, but like you said, the Steelers are playing for a lot more. It seems like they're desperate. I know A-Rod's going to want to finish his career on a high note, making the playoffs, so he has a lot to play for. So I'll go the Steelers in this one.
I gotta see storyline, baby. I want to see I want to see that last game between Baltimore and the Steelers. Who wins the AFC North? I gotta go Lions.
That'd be a really good story, actually. That'd be a good one there. Man, you might be changing my thoughts because I really like the Lions, but they kind of go on this. There's a few teams that were really good last season that were decent this year that I think them having a losing season is actually beneficial for them in the long run. And I'm gonna stick with Steelers. I got to. Sorry, guys. I just unnecessarily wasted time here. Patriots versus Ravens. Who you guys got?
I'm not taking this one.
I gotta go Patriots here. They look really good, really sharp. Surprisingly, they're my AFC team. That offense is running on all cylinders right now. Mike Vrabel's got those boys ready. I gotta go Pats here.
Man, I'm going Ravens, but I think Pats are going to be really solid in the playoffs. Nah, I'm going Patriots. I have to Patriots all the way because they just have a little bit more to fight for right now. I think the sooner or the closer we get to the last game of the season, the more the Ravens are realizing they're just not making it. Like they just didn't put together a team this year. Toy.
They're in Baltimore. I gotta give it to the Ravens.
All right.
I gotta give it to the Ravens.
All right. Last game here, 49ers Colts. 49ers. And I hate saying that. I'll root against that team every day of my life, but 49ers, I just don't trust the Colts with Phillip Rivers. Or at least not against the Niners defense.
Yeah, Niners defense is too much. I mean, I really wish I could say that I think Rivers is gonna, pull this out, make a playoff run, but I just think he's too old, too out of his prime. He's, 5 years out of the league. It's a hard thing to do. So I love you, Phil, but I got to go 49ers here.
Shockingly, I'm gonna go Indy. I think Indy's defense is really, really fucking good, and Purdy has not looked that great this year. He's been bailed out a lot, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go Colts.
It's interesting. Oh man, I don't know why, but you're actually making me think about Colts instead.
I got a gut feeling.
Only because Rivers, laced up Seattle's defense with 120 yards. No, I'm sticking with 49ers. I have to. I have to this one. Overall, yeah, there's our picks. Next week we'll go over them again. Tell you guys how we did. That's going to be the show, though, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Damn, we got through a lot of topics pretty quick, actually. Next week we'll be going over some more topics, more Hall of Fame talk potentially. Definitely going to be going over this week's games. For now, thanks for joining us. You can catch me at the Austin Oso on Twitter and Instagram.
You can catch me at Real Zachariah Pro on Instagram. Not yet have a Facebook, but currently working.
Yeah, you can't catch me on anything. I'm working on it though, guys.
In due time.
Before the new year, I promise.
All right. So my last words for y'all. This week set the stage for us, but next week, guys, things get real. We'll cover the fallout, the surprises, and the games that changed this season. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Peace out.